Your mic is off, Irina. So if you're speaking.
Sorry, thank you. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I think we're going to begin. Welcome all again to our first STEM series. This is the last episode of the STEM series for today. We have a few things to remember to all participants. Please keep your mics off. If you have any questions, you can do it on the chat box. But to allow the session to continue, please keep your mics off. Please do not use any of the tools available to you as a participant without consulting with myself or Jorman, that is the other host. That means please do not share your screen if you're not one of the presenters, and make sure you remember to ask your questions on the chat box. Any form of discrimination is forbidden in this space, and all the opinions are your own. Please do be respectful with all participants' opinions and comments. It is not allowed to do any publicity on the chat. I think that is all right. Yes, so those are our rules. Thank you very much. We're going to start today. My name is Irina Vázquez. I am the Education USA Advisor at la Asociación Venezolano-Americana de Amistad, AVA, in Caracas, Venezuela. We have 6 Education USA centers in Venezuela. You can locate us on our Instagram account or any of our social media. You can reach all of the centers. We have one in Mérida, one in Maracaibo, 3 in Caracas, and one recently opened in Lecheria on the eastern side of Venezuela. Education USA, it's a network of sponsored by the State Department of the United States. And what we do is we help students, foreign students that want to study in the US. In this case, for Venezuelan students that want to study undergrad or graduate programs in the United States, we are your official source of information. We provide different services, such as this session. We do several sessions throughout the week and every month. Most of our sessions are free. And the idea is that you, as a student, have all the resources that you need to be able to study in the US, to make sure you know how to navigate the higher education system, how to do admissions, what the Common App is, what are the STEM programs, and why, what's the difference between US higher education and Venezuelan higher education. Yes, you can hear me, awesome. Okay, we do want to remind you that we have our upcoming virtual Education USA Fair 2020. This will be on September 19th. The registration is already open. Actually, Tyler, I don't know if Tyler will be there with us, but the school will be there. And we have over 100 colleges and universities that will be participating this year. So we invite you all to register. It's free for the students, and you will have online access on the 19th, and then you will have on-demand access to all the sessions after the 20th. I'm going to switch to Spanish very quickly. Quiero recordarles algunos términos sobre la educación superior americana. Lo primero es el undergraduate, que se refiere al pregrado o a la carrera universitaria como la conocemos en Venezuela. Entonces, cuando hablamos de undergraduate programs, es pregrado o tu carrera universitaria. Y cuando hablamos de graduate programs, hablamos de los posgrados, ya sean maestrías, doctorados, postdoctorados. Hay distintas formas de graduate programs. Entonces, aquí vamos a hablar de undergraduate y graduate. Les recordamos, I'm going to switch to English again. I want to remind you of the 5 steps to study in the US that we as Education USA advisors recommend you all to follow. The first is make sure you research all your options on states to study in, schools, programs, undergraduate or graduate, what the opportunities for career, furthering your career in those topics are. Step number 2, make sure you know how you're going to finance your studies. You need to have a budget. You need to know if you're going to be expecting scholarships, if you have the profile for scholarships or assistantships. Step number 3 is doing your applications. We can support you in all of these steps. Applying to U.S. higher education institutions is very different than applying to Venezuelan universities. So it's a process that you need to be mindful of time, details, paperwork, all of it. And step number 4 is your student visa. Usually students go with an F1 visa to study in the US. And actually, visa processing, it's opening again in some countries. So if you need a student visa, now you can start doing your process. And number 5 is your pre-departure orientation. That's the fun part. After you have all of your paperwork, you were admitted at the university and you already have your visa. Now you have to close all the little details, such as where you're going to stay, how to pack, what the school will be expecting of you and the teachers will be expecting of you, how's the environment gonna be, all of that. We will help you with all 5 steps and beyond, probably. And remember that the process takes about 12 to 18 months before your desired start date at the school. So we're working right now with students that will probably begin on fall 2021. And without any further ado, I'll leave you with Estefania Nunez. She is the one instructor for the University of Southern Mississippi. She has been with us for other sessions. Thank you, Estefania, for joining us. She's going to present on the University of Southern Mississippi, especially for the Polymer Science and Engineering major that they have developed and are recognized for. Thank you.
Gracias, Irina. Nosotros también vamos a estar en la feria del 19 de septiembre para que ellos sepan. Y pantalla para que sepan, por si acaso a lo mejor no se resuelven las preguntas que tengan sobre nuestra organización en este día. Bienvenidos a todos. Voy a hablarles un poquito así rápidamente sobre qué tipo de universidad es la nuestra. Estamos ubicados en Harrisburg, Mississippi. Como ven, está al sur, está como a un par de horas de Nueva Orleans. Fuimos fundados en 1910 como un colegio de profesores y somos una universidad de tamaño mediano con en torno a 15.000 estudiantes y somos fuertes en deportes. Fuimos como reconocidos por la Asociación de Carnegie Research Intensive como una de las universidades que tiene un alto volumen de research, y eso es debido a la carrera de la que les voy a hablar hoy, que es la de Polymer, la de Science and Engineering. Por eso es que nos conocieron y nos reconocieron como una de las 130 universidades en esa categoría. También estamos acreditados dualmente por el Colegio de Negocios que tenemos, y tenemos, como ven, más de 180 programas académicos y pueden pedir información de eso más adelante. Hoy me voy a enfocar entonces en la presentación de la ciencia de los polímeros y de la ingeniería. Nuestra universidad, una tradición, digamos, que lleva con nosotros desde 1970. Entonces estamos celebrando como los 50 años de Polymer Science en nuestra universidad de Southern Miss. Es muy importante saber que somos uno de los más importantes, de los 5 más importantes con respecto al país, digamos. Después tenemos más de 70 estudiantes graduados, que como dijo Irina, son estudiantes que cursan maestrías y doctorados, y más de 100 estudiantes de carrera o pregrado. 14, como pueden ver, profesores activos. Es importante, luego diré un poco más sobre eso. Para los que quieren hacer el doctorado, la maestría, es importante que se fijen bien en los profesores, y también en este campo de polímeros es importante que los estudiantes que eso, porque está bien enfocado a lo que es la investigación, ¿ok? Entonces, también la posibilidad de ser científica y tan especial, bueno, carrera, maestría y doctorado, al ser tan específica, tiene un 90% de posibilidad de oportunidad de trabajo para nuestros estudiantes antes de que se gradúen. Y después hay otros números como un 95% en los 4 próximos meses de tu graduación, como es muy probable que si haces este tipo de carrera vayas a tener un trabajo asegurado muy pronto, incluso antes de que te gradúes o muy pronto después de la graduación. En Southern Miss ofrecemos, como les dije, la carrera o pregrado, la maestría y el doctorado. En cuanto a maestría y doctorado, se ofrece en la ciencia y la ingeniería de los polímeros. Y el pregrado se ofrece en ciencia de los polímeros y también en ciencia e ingeniería de los polímeros. Como ven, el segundo es más nuevo y se enfoca, digamos, en diferentes disciplinas. Por ejemplo, el enfoque de la ciencia de los polímeros sería química de los polímeros, y la diferencia con el de la ingeniería sería que se enfoca más en la física y la ingeniería de los polímeros. ¿Qué hace un científico de polímeros? Es importante ver y también ellos determinan a través de esa investigación cuáles son los materiales más adecuados para un propósito específico. Les voy a poner algunos ejemplos. Serían los televisores de pantalla plana o paneles y motores de aeronaves de peso ligero, dispositivos médicos, recubrimientos, pinturas, etc. En esta universidad específicamente nos enfocamos en lo que son los deportes, el aeroespacio y en la biomedicina, en desarrollar, digamos, tecnologías o en mejorar las que ya existen. Por ejemplo, una de las investigaciones que se estaba haciendo en el campo de deportes era sobre un casco para los jugadores de fútbol americano. Ellos estaban investigando porque ya saben que el fútbol americano es así bien agresivo, y entonces los jugadores siempre tienen problemas, ¿verdad? Cuando se retiran bien jóvenes y siempre tienen problemas por las contusiones que ellos reciben, por los golpes. Entonces ellos estaban intentando mejorar ese tipo de tecnología que tienen en los cascos para esos golpes, esos impactos. También están investigando sobre diferentes tipos de materiales que se pueden usar para hacer como trajes de baño, para deportistas, digamos, de élite, para, por ejemplo, ser como más eficiente, más rápido en esas competiciones. En cuanto a la aeronáutica, al aeroespacio, ellos están investigando sobre lo que dije anteriormente, los paneles y los motores para las aeronaves de peso ligero, por ejemplo. Y en el campo de la biomedicina, una de las investigaciones que fue reconocida también fue sobre la cura del cáncer y en cómo las diferentes tecnologías que hoy tenemos o las terapias que hoy tenemos y existen son bastante agresivas. Entonces ellos están intentando investigar en cómo atacar esas células malignas, digamos, de cáncer y no matar o no dañar a las células buenas. En el caso de lo que tenemos ahora mismo, ¿verdad? Es como algo muy agresivo que ataca tanto a células buenas como a malas. Entonces, por eso ellos están investigando en ese campo de la biomedicina. Después, estas son algunas de las empresas y experiencias, digamos, de investigación que pueden tener nuestros estudiantes para desarrollar, digamos, los conocimientos o aplicar esos conocimientos a un nivel más práctico. Puede ser, por ejemplo, la Chevron Oronite y todo esto que pueden ver aquí. No les quiero leer así toda la diapositiva, pero así tienen una idea más o menos de con qué clase de empresas o de universidades pues estamos relacionados para que nuestros estudiantes tengan esa experiencia que en el campus también tienen con nosotros, pero para que también la tengan fuera de nuestra organización y tengan otro tipo de perspectivas. Después, estos serían unos requisitos para lo que son las admisiones se les pide, digamos, la aplicación que es totalmente online y la aplicación costaría $40. Se les requeriría una copia de su nota, de su récord, digamos, de la escuela. Ahora mismo, en la situación, ¿verdad?, de la pandemia en la que vivimos, puede ser, digamos, no exigimos lo que son las oficiales, sino que los estudiantes pueden como subir o en la aplicación online pueden cargar lo que es una copia de su récord. También una prueba de inglés si es que su colegio no está acreditado o están obteniendo un IB diploma. Se les requeriría una prueba de inglés y las que aceptamos ahora mismo son el TOEFL, el IELTS, el ITEP y también la porción de inglés del SAT. El TOEFL sería un 71 que necesitan o un 6.0 en el IELTS, un 480 en el SAT, en esa porción de inglés que les dije, o un 4.0 en el ITEP. ¿Okay? El SAT y el SAT son opcionales, pero sí que se le considera para becas a los estudiantes, como les digo, de pregrado o la carrera universitaria, ¿verdad? Estas serían las becas que ofrecemos de admisión para esas becas, ¿verdad? Es importante tener en cuenta lo que es la fecha límite, ¿verdad?, para aplicar. Entonces sería el 1 de diciembre, deben de ser admitidos y para ser admitidos simplemente necesitan la solicitud online y necesitan lo que es las notas del colegio y en el caso de que ustedes lo necesiten, necesitarían también la prueba de inglés, ¿verdad?, las notas de la prueba de inglés. En el caso del SAT, entender, porque debido a la pandemia entendemos que hay muchos centros que están cerrados, ¿verdad? Entonces, serían elegibles, digamos, serían como candidatos para una de estas becas si entregaran sus notas del SAT a lo más tardar, digamos, a febrero del próximo año. Pero, como les digo, tienen que tener para diciembre su aplicación, las notas de su colegio y la prueba de inglés. Después, dependiendo de su nota del SAT y dependiendo que ustedes tengan un 3.0 de GPA, que es la nota, digamos, la nota media, ¿verdad?, de su colegio, de los cursos que hicieron en su colegio. Dependiendo de eso, será una beca o un descuento, digamos, desde $2.500 hasta lo que es el valor completo de la matrícula. Y también hay una beca para los estudiantes de Honors College que son, digamos, serían dependiendo de su nota media de los cursos que hicieron en la escuela. Después, estos serían los requisitos para la admisión de para la admisión de lo que son las maestrías y los doctorados. Tenemos también la aplicación online. En lugar de 40 serían $60 por la aplicación. Y también, como les dije, no hace falta lo que son las notas oficiales de sus carreras, pero pueden mandar una copia, ¿ok? Y luego ya mandar la oficial. Después, como lo mismo que para los undergrad, tenemos el TOEFL, el IELTS, todo eso para la prueba de inglés. Y también les quería decir que normalmente, en una circunstancia normal, también se exigiría el GRE y esos exámenes, pero en este caso no se están, digamos, quitando esos exámenes porque también los estudiantes están teniendo problemas para acceder a los centros y examinarse de esas pruebas. Entonces, ahora mismo están quitando esas pruebas hasta primavera del año que viene. Después les haría falta tres reseñas, digamos, 3 cartas de recomendación, y para el caso, como les dije, de la maestría o doctorado, necesitarán también una carta de propósitos donde expliquen, digamos, qué investigación hicieron, por qué están interesados en esta carrera y todo este tipo de informaciones. Nuestros estudiantes internacionales dicen, yo les hice una encuesta y ellos dijeron que el nivel de competitividad es como de un 7 a un 8 sobre 10, ¿ok? Y a nivel de carrera, ellos dijeron como que su declaración de propósitos o el Statement of Purpose es lo más importante que los profesores, digamos, miran, y después también sus notas en el colegio y en el nivel de la maestría. Lo más importante que se tiene en cuenta es otra vez su ensayo de declaración de propósito y las cartas de recomendación que ustedes tengan. Es importante que siempre tengan eso presente y escriban, digamos, sobre su investigación y todo eso en lo que es su statement of purpose. Eso es lo que a ustedes les interesa más a la hora de elegir a un candidato. Después, este sería el coste total sin ningún tipo de beca o assistantships o nada de eso. En este caso, para las maestrías y los doctorados, les tengo que decir que esto está a ningún estudiante en la maestría o doctorado que no pueda subvencionar, ¿ok? Normalmente una de las cifras que tenemos también es un 50% de los estudiantes que hacen la carrera pasan a hacer también la maestría o un doctorado en Polymer Science, y eso es totalmente subvencionado. Entonces piensen en este precio y todo lo que se estarían, digamos, ahorrando si es que llegan a hacer una maestría, un doctorado, ¿verdad? O si en el caso de que hagan un pregrado, también tienen que pensar en las posibilidades, digamos, de investigación y en las posibilidades que tienen como de becas de admisión, ¿ok? Después este es el correo de el departamento de polímeros, si quieren dirigirse directamente a ellos, y también está el contacto de la señorita Petra Marlin, que es la directora de relaciones de admisiones internacionales, y mi contacto por si tienen alguna pregunta para mí, o si quieren que le ponga en contacto con un profesor en específico, o si tienen una pregunta más específica. Y la información la tomé de la página de la universidad, que es esa. Si tienen interés para mirar trata, que van a aprender en la carrera y más información.
Muchas gracias,
Creo
Estefanía.
que así.
Quiero tocar algunos puntos importantes de la presentación de Estefanía, más allá de la carrera, también es importante que recuerden, si quieren, están buscando posgrados, contactar con los faculty, a los profesores de las investigaciones, de los research projects en los que ustedes quieren participar, siempre es no necesario, pero es deseable, ¿ok? Que ustedes puedan tener ese primer acercamiento directamente con los faculty.
Sí, es importante porque también es importante saber, digamos, qué tipo de fondo tiene ese departamento, ese año en especial. Quizás tienen solo 2 becas, o tienen 10, o tienen una. Entonces, si se comunican con los profesores, es verdad que les va a ayudar.
Yeah, especially, thank you, Stefania. Thank you, Petra, for being here. Do remember that you can ask questions on the chat box, and we will have, after Tyler's presentation, after Virginia Tech's presentation, we will have time to answer some questions. I already have some that you've sent me through WhatsApp, and we will be answering those, but you can also use the chat. Give me a second. Okay. Are you okay, Taylor? Do you have your information?
Yeah, can you all see my presentation, my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good deal, thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Tyler Oxley. I am a senior assistant director of the admissions office at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, if you're not familiar with the university, it is a large public university located in a town called Blacksburg, Virginia. Blacksburg is in the southwest part of Virginia. It's kind of a rural area. It's kind of out in the mountains. It's about a 4 to 5 hour drive away from Washington, D.C. That's kind of the closest main city that you all will be most familiar with. The university itself, we are a Tier 1 Carnegie research-oriented university. And so we do put a lot of emphasis on making sure our students have opportunities outside the classroom, getting involved in research. Our motto, the university's motto is Ut Prosum, which means that I may serve. And so it's an important part of the university is giving back to the community, giving back locally, giving back nationally, giving back globally. And so our students and our faculty do put a lot of emphasis on making sure that we're doing good and we're helping out in the community at large. Virginia Tech is home of the Hokies. That is our mascot. It's called the Hokie Bird. It's kind of unique, but what it means is basically we take care of each other. And certainly in this time of need, Virginia Tech has stepped up to the plate and has given back to the community and making sure not only our students, but also our community in Virginia is being taken care of. The university itself has has 7 different colleges. The university is broken up into 7 different colleges. At the undergraduate level, we have over 150 different undergraduate programs. And then at graduate level, nearly close to 200 master's and PhD programs. The university is definitely known is located. You know, we have 14 different engineering majors at the undergraduate level, and then we have about 12 to 13 at the master's and PhD level as well. But we are a comprehensive university, and that means that we have a lot of different programs and a lot of different subject matters. So we do everything from agriculture to architecture, liberal arts, languages, business, science. We do have a medical school and a veterinary school as well. Some reasons that students choose to come and study at Virginia Tech. We have some very highly ranked programs. Our engineering school is in the US, but we do take pride in making sure our students excel here on campus. So our graduation rate is 83%. So that means that 83% of the students that end up attending the university do graduate. And see the national average is about 49%. So we're well above the averages there. Our average start, and that's because of the experiences that students have here on campus. I said we're making sure our undergraduate and our graduate students have opportunities outside of them. We do a lot of research not only for the local community, but we do it for the government, aerospace engineering area. We currently work with Boeing, we work with Airbus, we work with the other large plane manufacturers, NASA. We also have our own drone center as well. And we have a startup company that is doing delivery in the local community using drones, and so that's the first in the country, in the U.S., that is working on that. So we're going to jump into kind of what aerospace engineering is. So certainly what aerospace engineering is at Virginia Tech. And so first of all, kind of, I hope you all understand, but aerospace engineering is focusing on applying science and technology to challenges of moving through air and space. And so at Virginia Tech, aerospace engineering is kind of focused on two different areas. We focus on aeronautics and astronautics. And so in the aeronautics area, we focus on autonomous aerial systems, performance of aircraft. We do construction, looking at using different types of materials in the way that we construct not only planes, but using other flying objects, or looking at wind turbines, and those sorts of things. In the astronautics realm, the university focuses on guidance and control systems. We look at rovers, like equipment that has gone to Mars. Virginia Tech has partnered with NASA on the rovers that have been sent to Mars, and then also other planetary systems as well. We also look at satellites, space stations, and spacecraft missions. And so those are the kind of the two main areas that Virginia Tech focuses on within the aerospace realm. At the undergraduate level, Virginia Tech offers both, has a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering. Aerospace engineering is partnered with our ocean engineering program as well. So it's aerospace and ocean engineering. So we offer two different programs. We have the aerospace degree, but we also have an ocean engineering program as well. And there are opportunities there to do a double degree. And so if you are interested in both aerospace and ocean engineering, because there is a lot of crossover between those two programs, there's a lot of opportunities there to do a second degree as well. So at the undergraduate aerospace engineering program, we have a number of different focuses, areas that you can specialize in within our program. So first off, we have a specialization called Aero Hydrodynamics. So this is the analysis of understanding fluid, how fluid flows around vehicles. We focus on the courses that you can take within the Aero Hydrodynamics field are layer and heat transfer. We look at computational hydrodynamics, propellers and turbines, high configuration dynamics as well. And then the second is dynamics, control, and estimation. So within this field is the focus is around the ability to model and predict motion of vehicles, how to modulate motion through proper control. So courses that we would take within this program would be state and spatial control, space vehicle dynamics, spacecraft position, orbit determination, and also looking at land vehicle dynamics as well. And then we have energy and the environment. So energy and the environment focuses on imparting specific skills required to understand the nature, the scope, and challenges of the environmental impact. So this one is focused not only on aircraft or design, but also on looking at the ways that it impacts the environment. Certainly it looks at looking at alternative energy systems, green energy. It also has wind turbine technology courses, and those sorts of things. So if you're kind of interested in the environmental side of aerospace engineering, this is a great area of focus that you can focus on. And then we also do propulsion. So, propulsion is looking at engines, specifying how, looking at developing new types of engines and an analysis of aircraft and spacecraft propulsion. And so some courses that you could take within this one, within this field, are spacecraft propulsion, looking at propellers and turbines, but also looking at aerospace propulsion systems as well. And then we also do space engineering. So this is more focused on the space side of things. So understanding the space environment, how payloads, aircraft that are going up into space, how the different payloads interact with those. Also looking at space missions, how to design and operate a mission, a space mission, analysis and functioning of those space vehicles. And some courses that you can take within this field include exploration of space environment, spacecraft propulsion, space weather, solar winds, and those sorts of things. And then lastly, we also do an area of specialization in vehicle and system design. So this is looking at the different types of skills or equipment that is required to understand nature, scope, and challenges of designing innovative vehicles and systems that are going into to lunar sites or into space in general. So some courses that you can take within this field include engineering design optimization, avionics, systems analysis of air transportation, configuration, and aerodynamics. So that's the undergraduate programs that the university offers. So the admission criteria for students that are coming into aerospace engineering, what we're going to be looking for generally are students who have strong math and science background, so taking high-level math and high-level sciences in your high school. And generally we're going to want strong grades, so A's and B's on the US system, generally 14s, 13, 14s or above on your local system. We are SAT optional for all applicants, so if you don't have an SAT, that's perfectly fine. We can admit students who do not have an SAT for their application. We also require an IELTS or a TOEFL or some other sort of language exam. Generally, we're looking for a TOEFL score of 80 or higher, or an IELTS score of 6.5 or higher. We do what's called holistic admissions. So what that means is we're going to look not only at your grades and maybe your SAT scores, but we're also going to look at your personal side, what we call extracurricular activities. So what are you doing outside of the classroom? Are you involved in clubs and organizations? Are you working? Are you playing sports? What are you doing in your community to get involved? And so that's an important piece of the application review process. We like to see students who are involved in their community and whether it's in their school or their family. There's a lot of ways for you to show that you're getting involved. And that's an important piece of the application process. Just some rankings here. Virginia Tech's Aerospace Engineering program itself is ranked number 5. The best value in aerospace and aeronautical engineering is ranked number 4. Within aerospace undergraduate programs, the aerospace engineering is ranked number 15. Obviously, rankings fluctuate, and they're not the most important thing. So just because the school has really high rankings, don't definitely do a lot of research to understand a little bit more about the programs and what types of opportunities there are there. As far as the graduate programs go, Virginia Tech offers a PhD program in aerospace engineering. We also offer a Master's of Science in Aerospace, and then we also do a Master's of Engineering as well in Aerospace. There's a lot of different types of programs depending on what your goals are. I get asked the question a lot, what's the difference between a Master's of Science and a Master's of Engineering? And that's a good question and an important one as well. So generally a Master's of Science program is going to be more research oriented. You're going to have a lot more opportunities to thesis, to either work in research programs or working on labs on the university campus. And so if you're interested in more on the research side, definitely do a Master's of Science. While if you're more interested in more of just the academic side, if you need a master's degree for your job and that's it, you're not really too interested in research. The Master's of Engineering is the course taught program, and so basically you're just going to be doing classroom work without the research side of things. As far as the admissions criteria goes, they do holistic admissions at the graduate school as well. So they're going to be looking for an undergraduate degree, a bachelor's degree in engineering, in science, or in mathematics. Just because you don't have an engineering or an aerospace engineering degree doesn't mean that you wouldn't be eligible for this program. The GPA, generally, they're going to be looking for a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. It's kind of a B average or better. Obviously, the higher the better there, but that's kind of what they're going to be looking for. They do require a language score, so a TOEFL or an IELTS there. I recommend students have at least a 95 or higher on the TOEFL or a 7.0 or higher on the IELTS. They do require a GRE. Generally, they're going to be wanting at least a 150 in each section. Generally, I recommend a 305 or higher for the GRE score. And then letters of recommendation, they do want you to have 3 letters of recommendation. Those can be from different types of people. They don't have to be from professors. If you've have an internship or if you've worked in a company, they like to see that you have experiences outside the classroom. And so it's really helpful if you do have a letter of recommendation from someone who's not a professor, just so they can speak to your skills and other things that you have done in addition to your academic work. And then they're going to look for your resume and also your statement of purpose. Your statement of purpose is really, really important because that's your chance to tell us about yourself. Tell us about your experiences. Tell us about why you're interested in a master's or a PhD program. Also, what types of experiences you've had, what research you've done, or what your goals are for doing the program. And so definitely that statement of purpose can be very, very important in the review process. Also, one thing I do recommend that anyone who's interested in a master's or a PhD program is to reach out to faculty members within the program. Because they're the ones who are ultimately going to make the admission decisions. And so if you find a faculty member who is doing research or has experiences in an area that either you have or that you're really interested in, definitely send them an email because they can really be your advocate in the application process. Also, they can be your advocate when it comes to finding assistantships. So teaching or research-based assistantships. Because we're a research-oriented university, we have we need a lot of students to work either in our research labs or helping with teaching classes or being tutors for classes. And so definitely don't feel bad about emailing a professor. That's one of the best things that you can do. You know, because our aerospace engineering program is so large, there's a lot of different areas that we do specialize in at the graduate and PhD levels. And those include like aircraft and ship design. That includes structures and materials. We also do navigation and GPS security, wind energy. We also look at satellites and small satellites. One also really unique thing about our graduate program is we do something called the 3-minute thesis competition. And so this is open to all graduate and PhD students. It's basically like an, if you're familiar with the TV show, what is it called? What's it called? Where basically you're doing a presentation on what you've created. And so, you know, that's...
Shark Tank.
Yeah, Shark Tank, thank you. Shark Tank. And so basically you have 3 minutes to pitch your idea or your thesis to members of the faculty, but also business members as well. And it's really a cool opportunity to show off some of the work that you've done or some of your ideas as well. And so that's just kind of a fun opportunity there. I've got a short little video here that I hope will play. It's just going to show you one of our wind tunnels that we have at Virginia Tech. It's the largest wind tunnel of any university in the world. All right, like I mentioned, we are a research-oriented university, and so we do spend about $8 million a year on aerospace engineering research. About 40% of that funding comes from our commercial partners, and about 60% either comes from the university or the US government. And so some organizations that we work with in the past, those include the National Science Foundation. We also work with NASA, Department of Energy. We work with the naval research organizations. We also work with the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. So we do a lot of different types of research, both for commercial aspects as well as for governmental aspects as well. The university itself has 4 main what we call thrust areas that we do focus on in our research, and those include autonomous systems, so like drones, unmanned aerial aircraft, those sorts of things. We also focus a lot on environmentally responsible systems, you know, so how can we be environmentally conscious in the aircraft and jets and those sorts of things that we're creating. And so we focus a lot on efficiency, making sure we are creating low emissions propulsion vehicles, looking at drag and aircraft, looking at wing design so that to limit drag and to be as efficient as possible. We also do cyber physical security, and so this is kind of looking at you know, kind of how we can create a safe cyber physical security threats, you know, both on the aerospace side as well as on the ocean side. And then we also do, lastly, we do satellites and space-based sensing. So this is focusing on enabling resilient airborne and space-based communication, looking at reconnaissance, positioning, and those sorts of things. So some of the outcomes, where do our students go after they've completed their program? There's a lot of different outcomes for students. They can either go work in the aerospace industry. You know, like I mentioned before, we work with all the large major aerospace companies, but we also work with startups and some of the smaller companies as well. A lot of our students will go on to work either in the military or go to government agencies. And then also continue on research in higher education. Because we're such a research-oriented university, there's a lot of opportunities to either stay at the university or go to other universities to continue your research or your degree programs. So that's all I have. I do recommend that you give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter. We are active as the university for Instagram and Twitter. Our Instagram is great because we do student takeovers where students will tell you a little bit about what they're doing, either on campus or off campus. So definitely give us a follow there. And you can definitely check out our, send us an email to admissions, or check out our website. vt.edu is a great opportunity to learn more about the university itself. So thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing some questions that you all may have.
Thank you, Tyler. I'm gonna share my screen one more time. You have, well, you guys all have the social media for both Virginia Tech and Southern Miss on the chat box. You have all of their social media, including YouTube channels. I always recommend students to visit the YouTube channels from schools and Education USA, because you have a lot of resources there from previous sessions or admissions, the tips, focus on certain programs that you can use during your first step of research and your second step of admissions. Please do tell me if you can see that. Yes. Again, thank you, Tyler. Tyler is the Senior Assistant Director of the Undergraduate Admissions at Virginia Tech. I just want to, okay. Thank you everyone for participating. Let's start with questions. I don't see any questions on the chat. I do have some questions on WhatsApp that I'm going to read right now. Give me a second. Okay, so there's someone asking about if you have any opportunities, any of you guys have opportunities, particularly for women in STEM. Stephanie or Tyler, either of you can answer.
Okay.
I'll go ahead. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was actually gonna ask Petra Marlin. She's the International Admissions Director at the University of Southern Mississippi, and I'm sure she can help us answer that question regarding Southern Miss.
I know that we have an organization, like a student organization for women in STEM, and I remember that one of our international students was heavily involved in that in terms of, like, being a president or vice president of that organization. So we do have that available. And we may also have, I mean, most universities have a lot of different scholarships available through their university foundation. Usually this is like one application where an admitted student will go in and they'll select to apply for applications that they're eligible for, and usually those are available to new students and continuing students, so that they might have particular foundation scholarships for women in STEM or particular STEM majors. And certainly being involved in a Women in STEM student organization, which I believe most universities have one of those organizations, or several of those organizations, is helpful, because they can link those students to other scholarship opportunities that might exist outside the university as well. We offer, in particular, I know we have an undergraduate research forum every year, and we have, of course, both women and male students participating in that research forum, but they're able to compete for cash prizes to further their research, and also to further or attend like a national conference or something like that related to their research. So there are lots of opportunities out there, and in fact, I know that our undergraduate advisor and the person that Stephanie got all of the information from for the Polymer Science program is in fact a woman, and she's very passionate about the biomedical side of polymer science, and so she's been very supportive to some of the females I know that we've had as international students in polymer science. It's good to see advisors that are females too, right? I'll let Tyler answer from his side.
Thank you, Petra.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's something that the Virginia Tech itself has recognized, that our engineering program as a whole is largely male dominated, and so both the graduate school and the undergraduate admissions office are focused a lot on making sure that we're doing everything we can, whether it's outreach or in the admissions process, to make sure we're giving as many opportunities to women in STEM as we can. So like Southern Miss mentioned, we do have a Society of Women Engineers at Virginia Tech. It's kind of our STEM focused club for women. And so it's definitely something that the university is putting a lot of emphasis on, making sure that we have plenty of opportunities, whether it's in the admissions process or once students are here on campus, to give as many opportunities for all people that are underrepresented in our engineering program.
Thank you. We have one in here from Miguel, no, from Marianli. Thank you, Marianli, for your question. What would you recommend to reach out to faculty members when you're applying for a graduate program? Petra.
I can start off with that. So usually what I advise students, we have a faculty directory on our website. So if you just search faculty, the first thing that pops up, and in that search, you can search by subject area, and it will bring up a list of the faculty within that subject. It'll give a brief bio about them, usually mentions something about their interest area, and even if you click on them, you get even more information. And so I always advise students to go to that site and kind of scroll through the faculty, see if anything catches their eye in terms of the research that they're doing. And they might find one or two that are doing, working in the area they want to pursue. And so those would be then the people to target directly. And then you can also just email the department email in general, and ask for recommendations as well, because they might have just one central person answering emails that can refer you on to the right faculty member, but then also reaching out to that faculty member directly. And I know sometimes it can be tricky with grad faculty, getting responses. Keep in mind that there are certain times of the year that might not be the best time to email faculty, like at the very end of the semester or the very beginning of a semester when they're busy and trying to get their classes started or advising students. And that might be a reason that you might not hear back right away. So if you're really interested in it, just be persistent. Maybe you need to send several emails, that's okay. And again, maybe contact there's usually also like a graduate coordinator for each of those areas. So if you're not hearing a response back, get with the graduate coordinator and see if they can put you in touch. So those are my recommendations.
Yeah, what Petra said, definitely good words to follow. One thing I would add, your first email is really important. Don't ask for money or a scholarship in your first email. Tell the faculty member that you're emailing, or the recruiter, the graduate coordinator, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about some of your background, and why you think you'd be a good member of the community or a good member for the program. And then maybe at a later date, then you can ask about scholarships or assistantships. But definitely don't do that up front, because that can sometimes come off poorly. So.
Thank you. Yes, we help students with those emails usually. And yeah, as Petra said, sometimes faculty can be very, very busy. So always make sure you copy or send a separate email to your international graduate admissions contact at the university. to make sure that you have any sort of follow-up and that it will get to someone at some point. And we have Miguel asking, does Virginia Tech have assistantships? I missed that part, that's fine. And if so, how much does it cover?
Yeah, so at the graduate level, we do have a number of different assistantships available. Each department, certainly in the engineering and sciences program, is going to have a number of different assistantships, whether it's teaching or research assistantships each year. As far as how much it is, it really depends because each grant or each professor is going to have a different amount of money that they can give out each year. Sometimes the grants and assistantships can be for full tuition. Sometimes they might be for partial. And so it really depends. It depends by the year. It depends by what program you're going into. So unfortunately, I can't really give you a great answer there, but you know, it really is dependent on a number of different factors.
Thank you, Tyler. And that applies for almost every school. It depends, it varies by year. So you have to ask. You have to do your research. You have to write down to the professors, the research leaders, or the of the department head that you need to, or you are going to request the assistantship for. There's different sources of financing your studies, especially for graduate studies. So there's a lot that we can do there. And we have a session on that is already on our YouTube channel. You can watch it. Thank you, Miguel. Sophia, do you offer scholarship for undergraduate students? And how is the process to study in aerospace engineering and ocean engineering at the same time? This is a very good question because in Venezuela, the double major option is not very common, and it usually takes a lot longer to do two different majors. They're not at the same time. So Tyler, if you could tackle that question.
Sure. Unfortunately, at the undergraduate level, the university itself doesn't have a lot of opportunities for financial aid and scholarships. The way our financial aid and scholarship model works, we just don't have a lot of opportunities for aid at the undergraduate level. You know, with that said, though, we do the dual or double degree is definitely an opportunity there. And so kind of the way it works is whether you're doing a double degree in aerospace and ocean engineering or aerospace engineering and you know, something else, business, for example. Basically, you're going to want to make sure that you're communicating with your academic advisor so that all classes that you take are going to benefit you in both areas. There's certain programs where there's a lot of overlap. So aerospace engineering and ocean engineering, there's so much overlap that, you know, it's still going to take you a little bit more time to graduate. It might take you another year or maybe another 18 months, depending on the program. But certainly in programs where there's a significant overlap, it's definitely you have a lot of more opportunities to accelerate that timeline. Other universities and definitely Virginia Tech, we do have an accelerated master's program as well. And so what that is where you're able to do both your undergraduate degree and your master's degree in an accelerated timeline. And so for aerospace engineering, that would mean that you'd be able to get your bachelor's and your master's of science in theoretically in 5 years. You'd start taking master's level courses in your 4th year of study that would count both towards your undergraduate degree and your master's degree. And so a lot of times I recommend students take a look at the accelerated degree program because sometimes you can maybe help save yourself some money, but also accelerate that academic timeline as well. Thank
you. Petra, I wanted to ask, because Southern Miss do have the undergraduate scholarships. And I know from Stefania's presentation that SAT is one of the requirements for those automatic merit-based scholarships.
It
How-
is.
How are we handling that for our next cycle, next admission cycle?
Well, those scholarships are put together and handled by our undergraduate scholarship office, and our international students benefit from them in a sense that they are just considered they're considered non-resident applicants, just like a U.S. non-resident, and so they're eligible for those same automatic scholarships. I have not received any kind of word yet that they are going to change their deadlines or waive the SAT for those scholarships. If they do, of course, we'll be putting out that information, but as of now, it kind of stands the way it is.
So we are accepting the SAT scores by February, right? Next year.
Right. Well, here's the thing. If they take the SAT, they have to be admitted by December 1st, regardless of whether they have SAT or not. So they can be admitted with their transcript and their proof of English proficiency through a number of proficiency, methods that we have. As long as they're admitted by December 1st, they can still take the December SAT and then submit that by February 1st and be eligible. If they take an earlier SAT, then those need to be submitted earlier, but that December test is the one that has a little bit of leeway, so that at least hopefully they're able to take it by December and submit that test score and then still be eligible. And likewise, if a student was admitted earlier with an SAT score that was lower and they take the December test again and score a higher score, they'll still get automatically bumped up to a higher scholarship if they qualify. They can't have taken a gap year. They have to be applying during their current senior year to be eligible, but the scholarships do range from $2,500 up to full tuition. And I think that would be amazing for an automatic type scholarship that doesn't even require a separate application or the recommendation or A's. I think that most other schools that have those types of scholarships are still going to have early deadlines and are going to require a lot more information than what we're requiring for an automatic scholarship.
And then we also have the honor scholarship, right?
Honors college as well.
Okay.
Again, they have to be admitted by December 1st, but they can then also apply separately to the honors college. So that does have a separate application, and they
free
get
application.
$2,000 per year if they're admitted to honors college. And then there are a couple of other scholarships that they can apply through honors. So we have a presidential award that's a full ride scholarship, and it's not just one of those that they have several that they give out. And we've had international students receive that award. And then they have some other scholarships that will fund study abroad opportunities or research opportunities as well.
Okay, so for students, just so you know, we are also keeping an eye on the SAT situation locally, because SAT did not go the home version route. So all of the centers are still closed. And as far as we know, in Venezuela, schools will be closed until January. They will go online. So we don't know if we're going to have any open presentation sites. That's why we're asking those questions particularly, but we're still monitoring the situation, and as soon as we have information, our social media will be full of any news that we have. I think we're done with questions. I have a couple. I have one more.
I will know that we do have I'll add something about the scholarships though. We do have an appeals process, and so that appeal application generally opens in March, and I would assume other schools have appeals processes too, so that if a student, in my experience, if a student's able to make a really good case and document the fact that they simply were not able to register for this test or not able to take it, and of course, we have really extenuating circumstances this year, that I would encourage them to submit an appeal and document those circumstances and see if they might not still be awarded a scholarship after the fact. As long as they, especially if they were admitted by December 1st and met that deadline, I think they would have a better chance of getting an appeal.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question for both of you about undecided majors or undecided students. This was one of the questions from WhatsApp. We have very limited undergraduate and graduate programs in Venezuela. So many of our students just don't know the options out there. And they know that they want to go for engineering, but they don't know what they want to do. So do you recommend them to pick one to be admitted to and then change major and explore, or enter with an undecided major? What would be your recommendation for this type of students?
I would say check with the university admissions officer at the school, because I know a lot of schools have different processes along those lines. Like, you know, I used to work at an institution that had an exploratory option for students, you know, in certain areas, or if they weren't able to be admitted directly to an engineering degree, they might put them in another kind of holding major where they're advised. I know at Southern Miss, if students are not quite sure what they want to explore, we can't put undecided on their I-20. So I generally will put them in the liberal studies major. And then once they get here, you know, during that week that they're being advised and whatever, if they decide on something, we can always change it pretty easily. But knowing that schools just have different ways of working with students, in that way, I would get in touch with the, you know, with their, especially if they knew they were interested in a certain area, but not quite sure of what they wanted to go into.
Yeah. So Virginia Tech, we have a lot of opportunities for students that are undecided. So first of all, our engineering program itself, you don't apply directly to a specific engineering major. You don't apply to aerospace engineering or computer science or mechanical engineering. All students apply to what's called general engineering. And so the first year is kind of a general foundation program. For that first year, you're going to take physics, chemistry, calculus classes, but then you also take seminar courses to learn a bit more about the engineering options that we have. So you learn about engineering or mining or one of the 14 engineering majors that we offer. And so that really helps students understand more about what each engineering major entails, what courses you're going to take, what internships and co-ops are available, but then also what types of research you can get involved with. And then after your first year of study, that's when you're able to make that decision about which specific engineering major you're going to do. So we understand that you're undecided and understand that, you know, what does computer science mean? Might differ by university to university, and so we definitely have a lot of opportunities for university studies. That is, you know, if you really don't know what you want to do or what you want to study, that's a great option, because you work with advisors, you get to take classes in a couple different areas to learn a little bit more about the university and different majors. And then after a year or after 2 years, you're able to make that decision about which engineer or which major you want to focus on. And then we have each of our colleges, so our College of Science or College of Ag, liberal arts, business, all the different colleges, they also have their own undecided major as well, or program as well. So if you know you want to study business, but you don't know if you want to do accounting or marketing or finance or hospitality, you can do a general business program, and then you come into the university, and then after a semester or 2 semesters or whatever, then you're able to focus on which one you actually study in. But like Petra said, each university is going to be different. So do a little bit of research to figure out exactly what options are available. Ask questions, send an email to the admissions office. We're always happy to help answer any questions you guys might have about what options or what.
Okay. Thank you both for your answers. I think we are done for today. Thank you so much. You have on your screen, guys, to remind you that we have the upcoming Education is a virtual fair. Both the University of Southern Mississippi and Virginia Tech will be there, and you will be able to talk directly with the reps of over 100 universities and colleges in the US and ask all of your questions. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And
Thank you, Rina.
see you next time. Bye.
Bye.